Tonight, lice, love handles and lingerie are all lumped together. Let's meet the lacy Jimmy Carr, the lusty Ronnie Ancona, the leggy David Mitchell, and the lamentable Alan Davis. Before we even begin with the first question, one of your buzzers has been investigated by the FBI. Let's listen to all of them and see if you can get some early points by guessing which one. Jimmy goes... Ronnie goes...
Lay across my big breast bed.
David goes... And Alan goes... So we got Little Willie Really Won't Go Home. Your song, do you recognise it?
I did. I think I've heard those noises before, but I couldn't put words to it.
You seem to know it. Louis.
Which I think was investigated by the FBI. Because I think they thought it was a drug reference. They couldn't figure out what the song was about.
Worse than... Well, is it worse than drugs? No, it isn't. It's better than... Well, it's sex. Let me say sex. Is sex better or worse than drugs when it comes to the FBI?
It can be better and worse.
Yeah, you're right.
You know.
Stephen, why can't we do both?
One might assist the other.
What's sex again? Sorry.
Oh.
So this is the FBI investigated song?
They investigated Louis. You.
Right.
Yeah, your song. Because they thought it had very lewd references. We can see what the lyrics actually were. Ah, on that ship, I dream she there. I smell the rose, in her hair.
Filth?
Yes, but that's what the lyric was.
Ban this filth.
What they thought was being sung was, and on that chair, I lay her there, I felt my boner in her...
Oh, my God.
The weird thing is...
They wrote a song about my pre-show ritual on it.
The weird thing is, if you listen to it, you can see why they thought that. So they investigated it, played it slowly, and they explained exactly what the lyrics were. It's one of those effects where if you actually look at the right lyrics and hear it back again, it does seem... Oh, yes, I see what the words are.
It says more about them than it does about the artist.
Exactly. You're so right. Well, that's early points, then, for Jimmy Carr, who got that the FBI investigated Louis Louis. Points, early doors. Right, let's begin. What did the man who invented the lava lamp do for leisure? There he is.
That's John Malkovich.
It does look like John Malkovich.
Hawaiian shirt.
Was he into women? Was he a lover man?
Well, he was very much...
I can't believe I did
lava.
You know you said that out loud.
I know.
You said, was he a lover man out loud just now? They all heard.
Yeah,
Sorry.
well, actually, I'm going to
Have you got
make
one?
a lava lamp for your edification, pleasure and entertainment. I have here a little tube. This is actually a tube that usually contains tennis balls. And this is a mixture of vegetable oil and water. And I have here a little...
Quite hard to mix,
syringe.
by the way, those two things.
Yeah, they are.
They
Because...
separate, don't they, Dave?
Yes.
Hello. So you pump the colour in, and I'm going to use Alka-Seltzer, or any effervescent hangover cure pill will do.
Are you going to say don't try this at home?
Well, you can, actually. Honestly, it's not like a Mender. It's not going to explode. And cue light. Way, there we go. Pop it on. And then as the effervescent works, it begins... Yeah, there we are, beginning to get the effect. And there we are, the colour's now beginning to come into it. And you're getting a sort of lava lamp there, obviously. Professionally, they're made more permanent. A lava lamp, ladies and gentlemen. you've all got the equipment, as it were, so you can make one yourselves.
So exciting.
Aren't you lucky?
Yeah,
Already,
so
we've begun with the thrilling excitement.
Awesome.
This is so
Does the
try and
show
get
have
it
to
done
pay
quick.
something to the
Races,
format
otherwise we
holders
have
of the Generation Game?
You'd like to bend
It is a bit generation game, you're right.
Let's
Put this
just...
in
What do we do
first.
with that?
We
Yeah, go
inject
nuts.
colour in, I think.
Inject colour. You've all got different colours to make it thrilling.
Oh, it's a love.
Don't
Like
put
that.
too much of the effervescent hangover cure.
I put all of it in.
Okay.
Did it? Oh, did you?
Slightly
Don't put too many
manic,
pills in.
sort of-
And now just put a little of the
No,
Yeah,
put
just a
loads
little,
in. It's
just put a
brilliant.
little in, yeah.
Look at your bullshit lava lamp.
Mine is dry.
Your lava lamp is...
Hey,
Well,
Steal
it's
another one of
happening.
I
It's all
can feed
happening in
it.
our corner.
You see, when did it explode now?
Hopefully.
I can. No, you don't.
You're no fun. Stick another one in.
I'm a responsible adult. There has to be one on this programme.
Look at all these little balls.
I'm nervous of having
Stop saying that.
This genuinely reminds me so much of school. You said, don't put all the Alka-Seltzer in, and then Alan said, we're putting it all in as a result. And I've gone along with him, and now I'm frightened.
You know the one in trouble. You made me laugh.
Laughing at my...
You made me laugh, David.
He was laughing at my
I told you before.
You're in trouble.
It's not funny. There's nothing funny about making people laugh. Well, maybe, but oh dear,
Oh,
oh
it's
dear, I've
like-
got oily hands.
Mitchell's taken the lid off, sir. Mitchell's taken the lid off. It's not serious.
This is most unfortunate.
It's very funny.
Are you...
Why
Have
haven't
you
you
just-
got any little balls in yours?
I beg your pardon.
This is not how it was supposed to happen at all.
I love how broad Stephen's remit
Industrial. We all know why Aaron has industrial strength tissues.
Oh, you're not supposed to do that.
Right, everybody put their trays away.
You've put sort of gunk all on the eye.
So, well done with your lava lamps, he said between gritted teeth. The inventor was Edward Craven Walker, who was born in 1918 and died in the year 2000. And I asked you at the very beginning what his other leisure pursuits were. And, well, let me read you what he said about the lava lamp. He said it starts from nothing, grows possibly a little feminine, then a little bit masculine, then breaks up and has children. It's a sexy thing.
He was having a lava, wasn't he?
He was...
I believe I did that. Just
Don't punish
don't
yourself.
look at
It's
me
fine.
like that.
Not angry, I'm just disappointed.
He thought it was like he'd made an organism.
A sort of lovely, sexy thing. And he
Yeah.
was that kind of a man, I'm afraid.
Was he
into
a
some-
swinger? Was he one of the
He
swingers?
was
Was he
pretty much a
sort of-
swinger.
Oh, was he?
He was a swinger.
directed nudist films. That was his
Nudist film?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say
He
you
was
did...
a nudist.
His were naturist films, yes, or
The
naturist.
fact that
depending
that
on
was
the-
his hobby, did he not turn a profit on the porn?
It
You know,
wasn't
he had to,
porn.
he had to
well,
subsidise his porn-making habit with his lava lamp business.
you got the first naturist film that was on public release. That's the
That's
point.
not how you
They
do
don't know how
it.
to do it.
It's not porn. It's about people being naked. And this
what-
was a ballet underwater.
Vulcans do it like that.
Do they?
Yes.
Do they? Mind Melvin.
Is that one of his? Is that a still from one of his?
No, actually, we've made that up, apparently.
Are those
I
members
was
of the
thinking
production
that it
team?
was-
I don't think they're being paid enough to have to do that.
A couple of our elves
You say the
relaxing.
QI elves, that's not the image that springs into...
No. You think of sun-starved, specky creatures who is...
I don't want to be
All that
unkind,
blue
but yes, I do. Not a male and a female trying to do some sort of Scissor Sisters action.
Well, Edward Craven Walker founded the largest nudist colony in Britain, too. One of the largest.
Milton Keynes.
Do you know the name of the company that still sells the lava lamps? His company?
Oh, it begins with an... It's something to do... It's a math... It begins with a... Mathmos.
Mathmos. That's
got a
absolutely
straw,
right.
haven't they, in Clark?
Share the points between you. Do you know where that name comes from?
Mathmos.
Yeah.
Mathmos.
It's a film starring Jane Fonda.
Oh.
Same...
Barbarellas?
Barbarella.
Oh, yes.
Barbarella.
Yes, it was a seething lake of oily substances.
And Duran Duran comes from that movie as well.
It does
doesn't
indeed, absolutely. The city of Sogo in Barbarella had this lake of mathmos. And
At school, we used to call people who were good at maths...
Mathmos.
Mathmos.
Yeah, that's right. That's still used.
Just a different
I
pronunciation.
like the idea at school you look down on anyone. Good at maths. Oh, bloody idiots.
No, I deemed it a term of respect.
Were they calling you
Wear
Mathmos?
your Mathmo badge with pride. And they did wear badges. Yeah.
Did they?
You did wear badges.
You wore...
I collected
How many
badges.
did you?
Oh. Yeah, because you go to, like, Warwick Castle and London Zoo, and in order for the Western economy to prosper, small children have to buy pointless objects. You can buy in all of these places. You could buy a bookmark, you could buy a paperweight.
A pencil
you could buy-
topper.
and you could, exactly, or you could buy a badge, and I always bought a badge, and that's how I expressed my personality. I didn't have to think, what shall I buy? Oh, no, I didn't have to think. I always buy a badge.
It took him ages to take them all off before we came on here.
Well, thank you. Now, how can I make sure that I dream about scantily clad women?
Does it work to look at a scantily clad woman just before you go to sleep?
You're along the right lines, yes. There was a Frenchman with a marvellous name of Marie-Jean Léon Lecoq, the Marquis d'Hervey...
Léon Lecoq.
Léon Lecoq. He was the Marquis d'Hervey de Saint-Denis, and he was a beardy old Victorian aristocrat, as you can see from this picture of him. There he is, with his medals.
So you're going to say pervert.
His technique.
Pervert.
What are the medals for?
He's looking at a scantily clad lady right there.
One of those, I can tell you what they are. The first one, he went to Warwick Castle. The next one is London Zoo. That's a pencil topper.
Very
Much the French David Mitchell of his age. So what was his technique for dreaming of scantily clad women?
Well, what he would do is he would paint a scantily clad woman all day while chewing an orris root. Orris root is used in potpourris and in perfumes and such things. And then he would go to sleep, and his servant would place, while he was asleep, some orris root in his mouth, very gently. And this would summon up the memory of the scantily clad woman, and he would have what is known technically as a lucid dream, a dream which you're aware of and which you have a kind of control of, a bit like...
Presumably it was an improvement for the servant on what he was previously asked to do.
Yes, I imagine so. But there are ways you can do this for yourself without a servant, according to Richard Wiseman, who's written a new book called Night School. And one of them is you check your watch regularly, as much as you can, being absolutely sure to look at the numbers, the numerals on the watch, throughout the day.
Right.
And this is likely to cause you to dream of yourself looking at the watch when you're asleep. But you won't be able to see the numbers properly. And this forces you somehow to be aware that you're in a dream. You kind of know that you're looking for the numbers and that they're not there. And that kind of puts you in control, in the sort of holodeck of your dream, as it were.
I can see a very serious flaw in this man's plan.
Yes.
What happens if one day, when you're awake, you put on a watch that doesn't have numbers, just has little lines, and you look at it later in the day and you think, oh, brilliant, I'm in a dream. I can do what I like. I'm not really at work. The receptionist from work isn't really here. I can do what I
It
like.
could be like Terry Thomas and call Sir Dennis an old buffoon.
Exactly. People will be calling each other old buffoons all the time before you know it.
I imagine in that scenario, you woke up in the office, you thought, oh, I'm in a dream. I imagine you would quietly get on with your work.
I'm afraid.
I'm sad to say, but I think that's what would happen.
Apparently 50% of us have had a lucid dream in that sense in our lives, and you're more likely to have one if you are a computer gamer as well, which is perhaps not surprising, spending your time in that sort of, you know, grand thefting. Now on to lingerie. Now, whom did your great-great-great-great-grandmother throw her pants at?
Great, how many
Four greats and a grandmother.
Great, that's
grandmother.
Yeah.
So
Victorian.
If that's
Yeah.
Scouse, though, that could be the 70s. I think they'll be all right. They've got a sense of humour, don't panic. Can you do the next, like, 5 minutes in a Scouse voice so that we won't get letters of complaint?
Okay. Okay, then. What are we going to say?
That's good. I want some chicken and a can of Coke. I can only do Scouts if I say, I want some chicken and a can of Coke.
That's all they say, isn't it? Sorry, no. No, they've got a sense of humour.
Let's get on to something...
Disgraceful.
Let's get on to Israel or something less contentious.
Would it be kind of like at the time, so we were talking, that would be about around 1850?
Yeah, early Victorian era.
So didn't they get the celebrities of the time were people who were doing useful things like Isambard, Kingdom Brunel or someone?
No.
No one does suspension like him.
He does.
I love his cantilevers.
I like the fact that your great-great-great-great-grandmother was always old.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
Even when she was throwing her knickers at people, she was an old lady.
I thought it was ridiculous. It was a celebrity of the time.
He was a celebrity, and the most famous pan-throwing receptor was Tom Jones, or is Tom Jones, of course, still very much alive and booming.
What do you mean, still very much alive? Have you not seen The Voice?
I don't get this phenomenon of like throwing your pants at someone, because at what point do you go out with extra pants? Do you literally go, I've got the car keys, travel card, pants on, pants to throw?
Oh, the gesture is meaningless unless they're the pants you were wearing for function. Right. I mean, you just brought a bag of other pants. It's got the term of abuse.
But what if it's David Cassidy? What if you've got flares on, David? You're watching a David Cassidy thing, and do you take them off down one leg, or do you take them all off?
We still haven't clearly
Garibaldi.
Not Garibaldi.
So we're talking
We're in the right area with
He was
music.
popular,
Yes, but he
Garibaldi.
wasn't a musician.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
is it composer?
Bourbon, custard cream.
Composer, but a performer, the most extraordinary performer of his day.
Liszt.
Franz Liszt is the right answer. Absolutely. Well done. We got there. It looks more as if you've been attacked by a swarm of bees, but that is supposed to indicate ladies and their husbands trying to restrain them. These women, some of them fainting, throwing kisses. You can see they're absolutely rapturous. And they were completely astounded by this man, his virtuosity.
Was he as good as Liberace? I knew that would upset him. Look at him, he's livid.
He was an astounding composer as well as a remarkable pianist. And, of course, he was exploiting the new developments in pianos and the arrival of the pianoforte as opposed to the forte piano, which preceded it. And he was remarkable for many other reasons as well. He had affairs with a lot of people, including Lola Montez. Do you know of Lola Montez? An extraordinary Irish woman who'd had an affair with Ludwig of Bavaria and caused a revolution in Bavaria, in fact. There she is. And he then, amazingly, Liszt became an abbot, essentially, a man of the cloth. He was very thin and tall, Charles Halley said. His perfectly lank hair so long that it spreads over his shoulders, which looks very odd. When he gets excited and gesticulates, it falls right over his face, and one sees nothing of his nose. So he was like an old English sheepdog, perhaps, in that sense. He had Olga Janina, who was a former pupil with whom he'd had a fling, who pursued him all over Europe and eventually got so upset and hysterical that she stalked him and tried to stab him and commit suicide. So he really, you know, he was a star. I mean, a real star in the most
It's a very
extraordinary
odd
way.
thing, that. The idea that like, the guy that killed John Lennon was such a huge fan of John Lennon. It's a very weird thing when
Rich
people
man
get
kills
so...
the thing he loves. Let this be known. Brave man does it with a sword, the coward...
How many fans have you got, Jimmy?
Not enough to be worried. It's a lovely level of fame, a comedian, I think. People come up and tell you jokes all day, which is very pleasant. But no one's ever outside your house going, I made you a cake.
It's always the Daily Mail, Jimmy. They're always outside.
They're happy.
Yeah. So, yeah, the ladies went loopy for Liszt, the Justin Bieber of his day. That's hardly right. Come on. But, you know...
All right,
he was
Harry
a
Styles.
Great Stop it. He was a genius. Total genius. Now for a game of Spot the Leaf. I want you to tell me how many leaves are in this picture.
Well, that's going to be easy.
Lay, lady, lay.
6.
Willingly.
It's going to be 5 and a creepy crawly.
5 and a creepy crawly is
Creepy
the
crawly
right...
is the technical term. He is pretty good, though, isn't he?
He is. He's very impressive. I mean, even the little sort of disease marks. And you'll see, we have actually film of him. He kind of waves in the wind like a leaf. Insects, of course, get eaten whole by birds, and so his strategy is to look like that. But the problem is he occasionally gets bits of himself nibbled by caterpillars. And so it's kind of, you've got to be a bit careful with your looking like a leaf.
Imagine the caterpillars live at his pocket. I'm a vegetarian.
Well, that's it, exactly. So they take one bite and go, ew, that's not what I wanted at all.
What does he eat?
Good point. I think he eats leaves.
So he looks like his own lunch.
Yes.
That would disturb me if I...
Hoisted by your own petard. that is.
Somewhat,
If
definitely.
I looked at myself in the mirror and I looked like some delicious mashed potatoes, you know, in a way I do. It doesn't do my self-esteem any good.
Do you think he ever looks at his wife and goes, oh, she looks amazing?
Tasty, yeah, very tasty.
I'm ravenous.
It's Filidae, called walking leaves, or leaf insects, many other things. They're found in Southeast Asia and Australia. But we have also the satanic leaf-tailed gecko, which looks like an autumnal leaf.
That is
Isn't that
extraordinary.
good? Because it's in the dry deciduous forests of Madagascar. And there... It
can he
curls
only
up like a curled up
That's
leaf.
amazing.
That's amazing. But can he only come out in autumn?
Well, it's an interesting point. I've been to the deciduous forests of Madagascar, and it was in the summer, and there was so much dead litter on the ground. Just dry. They are dry forests.
Yeah.
So I think he's probably, all year round, it's kind of OK to be on this kind of, stuff on... There he is. Amazing, really.
Either that or living in the 70s, he'd be fine, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it would.
Or they don't exist and someone's drawn eyes on a leaf. It's worth considering that.
Now, there's rather astonishing. There's a plant that's a master of disguise. See if you can spot which plant.
Looks like a badger. Well, I mean, I would say if it's trying to not look like a plant, it's failed.
Does it look like another plant? Is that what it's doing?
Well, that's it. One of those leaves is actually a totally different species, and it's made itself look like that species. There it is, the arrow's pointing at it. It's only recently been discovered that that's a totally different species. I think the point is, it tries to look like a leaf that isn't very digestible or pleasant, because it itself is. And so it has learnt how to look like something that is not tasty.
Why didn't it learn not to be tasty? Well, the deliciousness is a given.
Evolution. Give living things millions of years and they will just go through strange processes.
Did chocolate sauce evolve to look like diarrhea?
So that people wouldn't eat
Yeah,
it.
you sort of go, oh, it might be diarrhea. This seems like quite a nice restaurant. I doubt it is diarrhea. Let me give it a sniff first.
That's why God gave us noses, I think. Leaves aren't always what they seem. Now, a question about larceny. Where did the 40 shoplifting elephants hide their loot?
In a cave?
Like Ali Baba's thieves.
Ali Baba's
40.
thieves.
In their trunks.
Somebody had to fall on their sword, and that was very noble. No, the elephants existed from the 1700s all the way up to the 1950s. They took their name from an area of London that has the word elephant in it, which would be...
Elephant and Castle.
Elephant and Castle, that's right.
Is this the pickpocket gang?
Not pickpocket. They were a gang of shoplifters, and they had special clothing.